ones too, because we looked up and analyzed every single one.
Yeah. We'll probably
how much damage can you do?
We'll probably never have that in depth of a review again.
Yeah.
But welcome back, investigators.
Hello.
It's time for Tyler and I to talk about the next pack from the Forgotten Age, or the first pack from the Forgotten Age cycle. I don't know what they call them in this game, but we're going to call it that. Threads of Fate.
Delving deep into the Mexican jungles.
I think we're out. I mean, we have. I think based on Tyler's comment, you can tell that we haven't actually started playing the Forgotten Age yet.
Definitely not.
We're waiting for one of our friends to get back. I was going to say dumber friends to get back, but then I felt bad calling them dumb. Friends to get back to start it, but we're waiting. But we're going to talk about these cards today and how cool we think they are, or how cool I think they are, and then Tyler's going to
I'm just going to totally crap all over these cards.
Yeah, most likely. So, what we got first is the Scene of the Crime. It's a Paladin, Guardian.
Yep, Paladin, Warrior card.
Yeah, Knight. Protector Knight. It's a 2-cost event with a fist and a book icon. It's Insight and it's bold, so those keywords don't typically matter too much at the moment for deck building or any of the cards that care about that stuff. But it says, play as your first action like mono a mono. Discover 1 clue at your location, or 2 clues instead if there's an enemy at that location. And it does not provoke an attack of opportunity. So, for 2 resources, you can get 1 to 2 clues depending on how you set your turn up.
Yeah, and it's a pretty good card considering it's a clue for free, and for some reason, if there's a monster there, it's 2 clues for free.
We talked about this. It means that you're getting there as the crime is finishing. It means you know more about the crime scene.
I totally
scene of the crime.
Totally disagree. It should be if a monster died there or something.
Okay, so if
and for that reason, I have to give this card a 0 out of 10.
Are we do we do rating last time?
We do now.
Okay, we're
0 out of
0 out of 10. And in reality, this card can actually be set up really well with some of the cards that came out last time, like On the Hunt. Lets you search the top 9 of the encounter deck for a monster. So you could get a monster out, the one that you want, put it out, play this as your first act, because that happens during the encounter, and play this as your first action and get a bunch of free clues. So I think as far as action or testless clues go, this is a pretty good card for.
Oh yeah, it's a good. It helps the warriors in the party find clues, which usually they're not good at. It saves a lot of actions and doesn't provoke an attack of opportunity.
Agreed.
So
it's pretty sweet overall. Definitely 0 out of 10. The next card is Marksmanship. So Marksmanship is a 2-cost 1 experience event with a fist and a foot icon on it. And it's a tactic, so that keyword actually does matter for things like stick to the plan and all that. So start your game with this out underneath stick to the plan. It's fast, and it says play as you activate the fight ability on a firearm or ranged asset. I don't know how many ranged assets there are in the game right now, but there's definitely firearm assets. So we looked at some of this stuff here because firearms are sweet.
And we were trying to min-max our damage.
Yeah.
And see what you could do.
And again, it basically says this attack can ignore an enemy at a connecting. It can attack an enemy at a connecting location. Ignore the aloof and retaliate keywords, which is super cool. And then if this attack succeeds, an enemy not engaged with you, it deals +1 damage. So like Finn's guns, it deals extra damage when a thing is engaged with you. But we thought about, what if you womboed this with the Springfield?
Yeah, the Springfield.
You get 3 ammo on that guy. So it costs a lot of money. It's about 6 total to do this. But you play the Springfield out. And then from, at an adjacent location, you could then Springfield somebody a question with +3 fight, +3 fists, and +2 damage from the Springfield. And then +1 damage because you can't use the Springfield unless it's not engaged with you. So there's that, which is pretty sweet. So
yeah. So at base, you're doing 4 damage. And then if you, threw on a Vicious Blow, that's another...
1 or 2 depending on the Vicious Blow.
1 or 2 damage depending on your Vicious Blow level, which is quite a bit of damage.
Mm-hmm. And we're looking at maxing it out on other firearms too, and it looks like you can get up to 7 if you use a shotgun and succeed and have 5 degrees of success on the shotgun. And there's some nonsense you can do with the Chicago typewriter too, but it doesn't get as high. It gets about as high as the Springfield, but it's a pretty cool card for 1 experience.
Yeah, I liked it, and it's sort of expensive, but I mean, it's a lot. It's expensive money wise and experience wise. But if you're by the time you need to deal 7 damage to something, you're probably advanced enough to like spend that kind of XP.
Mm-hmm. One thing I don't think is very thematic about it, as far as the card goes, is that it doesn't give you any like ups to hit it, which is what I would think Marksmanship would do in the first place, was like make it easier to hit things because you're better at aiming. So like using this card, you could actually end up doing a lot of damage to your teammate too if you didn't like commit enough or succeed enough. But it's pretty cool. I mean, that's just a theme fail for me. Like that doesn't mean that the card's bad in my opinion.
Another 0 out of 10.
Yeah, it's a second 0. This pack's not looking too good so far. All right, our next one is Persuasion. It's an insight trick. I don't know why I said that first, but I just saw the word trick and I had to read it. It's a 2-cost event with a brain and a book icon. It is a secret card, obviously, and it's a parlay action, which is kind of interesting. So, like, you might get bonuses on this from fine clothes.
Oh, yeah.
It chooses a non-weakness humanoid enemy at your location. So I was like, oh, cool, you can use this to get rid of a stubborn detective or a cultist. No, it's a weakness. They don't care about it. They've, like, got it out for you. You can't persuade them away.
He just doesn't care. He wants to find you for that crime you committed way back in the day.
Maybe you shouldn't have committed that crime.
Really, you can only convince a cultist to stop worshipping Yig for, like, 5 seconds. And he's like, wait a minute, I really like those snakes.
Yeah, seriously, what the heck? What's that guy talking about? Snakes are poisonous. Enemy at your location. It doesn't even have to be engaged with you. That's kind of cool. Test 3 books. This test gets plus X difficulty, where X is that enemy's horror value. If succeeded, shuffle that enemy into the counter deck and choose. If it's an elite enemy, you automatically invade it instead. So apparently, you can like talk down like elite enemies. You're like, yo, bro. I know you're a gigantic Lovecraftian horror, but definitely just chill out for a second, okay, man?
Yeah, this is pretty cool. I liked it because, like, usually human enemies don't even have horror values.
Yeah, it could be as easy as just talking down a mobster.
Yeah, so you can just be like, hey, man, you should probably leave this place because some weird shit's going to go down really soon. And they're like, yeah, it makes sense. And so they leave for a while, so...
There's an interesting subtle thing here that's like shuffle the encounter deck, which is something that, depending on how you're playing the game, could be really cool or really bad. So it's worth thinking about. Like, you could look like scry the cards, and if they're really bad, like try to persuade to shuffle. Things like that can be really like metagamey, and you can decide how far you want to go there. But I would never probably do that. But it could be something. It's something to keep in mind. Shuffling effects are really good. So. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I think it's still kind of expensive, but Seekers have money, so yeah, we just hit a lot of 2s in this pack so far. All right. One of the other things was someone asked about shrewd persuasion was what happens if you do it to an enemy that doesn't have a encounter card backing, like if it's like part of if there was like a non-elite enemy that had flipped out from the deck or something like that didn't have an encounter backing, would you be able to shuffle that back in the deck? And the answer is no. So you cannot shuffle. If you did this to an enemy that didn't have an encounter card backing, meaning it didn't come out of the encounter deck itself, it would not do anything at all. So keep that in mind. That's not even a scenario that can happen in the game right now, but if they do make that, then Persuasion will be a dead card. Actually, there's no dead cards in this game, but... Shrewd Analysis is our next card. It's a blank cost asset. It's a talent. And it's limit 1 per deck. It says anytime you upgrade a card with the unidentified or untrusted or untranslated subtitle, you may upgrade a second copy of that card at no experience cost. If you do, the 2 upgrade versions are chosen at random from among the eligible options. You must still meet all the deck building restrictions. So that's kind of cool, like the 2-for-1.
Yeah, I thought this one was really cool because it's permanent for Seekers, which is nice. And then all of these upgraded analysis and untranslated ones, they're all really cool, even if they're random. So
like Archaic Glyphs is one that you have that can go into something that makes it easier to discover clues, or something that makes it so enemies can't attack you, like evade enemies and automatically evade an engaged enemy, and it doesn't provoke an attack of opportunity. That's kind of cool. Either one of those is going to be good. Strange Solution is another one that's kind of fun. That was our first one. You know, you can heal people, you can fight harder, or you can evade better, depending on what you get. And then one of the ones that we don't know about yet is called Ancient Stone, and it basically just is that you've identified the stone. So throughout the cycle, we'll probably figure out more about that ancient stone. So, but it's another one. I think it's sweet. Costs nothing. Just put it in your deck.
It's free. So
there's no. This is one of those cards. It's like it says you may. So there's pretty much no reason to not include this card in your deck as a seeker ever, because it's not going to take anything away from you. And if you ever do choose to go to unidentified or untranslated assets or whatever, you can just start using it. Like, and since it's a permanent, it doesn't count against your deck size. So
yeah, and like I usually don't do it, but like one of the reasons is it's too expensive XP wise. So and then this makes it free, and you get like double.
Yeah, I'm a
bonus.
big fan. I hope there's a cycle of those cards that come out. So like I hope there's one for every class that has it's like a no cost beginning of the game permanent upgrade that you can have.
That would be really cool.
That does different things. And there's actually another one in the pack we'll talk about. But the next card we have is called Lucky Cigarette Case. This is kind of like a carryover from a lot of the other Arkham games.
Yeah, a lot of them have this.
It's like a lets you reroll kind of card, which is kind of fun. It's a 2-cost brain or asset with a brain icon. It's an item and a charm. So this can be pulled out with your backpack if you have backpacks. We just finished playing another Path of Carcosa playthrough, and the backpack did some serious work, I think.
Yeah, the backpack was really good.
Helped getting Wendy's amulet out more often. So, but this one says, as a reaction after you succeed a skill test by 2 or more, exhaust it to draw a card. Takes up your next slot. Pretty straightforward. I think if you build around it, this card can be really good. This is something you probably want to throw in Rex, because Rex likes to succeed by 2 or more, because he gets those extra clues. So you could get an extra clue and draw a card in Rex if you had the money.
Okay. Yeah. When I first saw this one, I was not super impressed. Succeeding by 2 or more is not like the greatest thing, I think. And then, I mean, drawing is all right, or well, it's pretty good. But I mean, this takes up a charm slot, next slot, and there's cooler things that can go in your next slot. So
there's this like drawing is a drawback in this game sometimes too, because you always have to worry about drawing a weakness. So like it's not like a game like Magic the Gathering where you just draw and you can get your answers right. Drawing in this game, it has to be held in kind of a balance, right? And so it's nice that you don't have to do it. I think this is like a build around me card for me, because you could use Daring Maneuver, I think is what it's called, to get the +2 after you succeed a skill test. But again, you're building around the fact that you're going to be triggering lots of these 2-of effects. And I don't know if that mechanic, I guess I'm calling it, is hit critical mass yet. So, yeah.
I'm just not impressed by this card.
Yeah.
And I think 2 is a lot for what it does.
Yeah, that's true. All right, Fence. Fence is a 3-cost asset with a 1 experience pip. It's got a foot icon on it, and it is a connection illicit. So it itself is illicit, which is kind of cool. It says, when you play an illicit card during your turn, exhaust Fence, the illicit card gains fast. If it was already fast, reduce the cost by 1 instead. I am a huge fan of this, just because I like it when you can give stuff fast. But it also doesn't have a ton of targets yet. So, there's you could fence out Finn's Trusty 38s, you could fence out Lupara, you could fence out the Chicago Typewriter, you could fence out, I don't know. You could fence out Contraband, stuff like that.
Even guns cool. You can fence out. Yeah, there's just other things you can fence out.
Let's look real quick. I didn't even look up what
Contraband's.
An interesting one. Let's see, illicit. How do you spell illicit?
Well, it's on the card.
I can't.
It's on the card.
I'm trying to look at the screen. ILLICIT. There's Derringers. That's another illicit one. Oh, cool. Burglary is actually illicit, which is kind of fun. Knuckle Dusters.
This actually gives you.
Oh, I forgot about lockpicks.
A ton of actions because it makes them all fast.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it makes 1 fast a turn. Yeah,
it makes 1 fast, but I mean that's pretty nice.
Yeah, I think it definitely is something to look at upgrading to, if you have it, if you have the opportunity to, because I would have really liked this in the Finn deck I just played, because it would have helped me get my stuff out a lot easier and more action optimized. So I don't know, I think it's cool.
And
I'd be willing to try it.
Reduces the cost of upgraded pickpocket.
Yeah, because it's already fast, and it reduces the cost of Finn's Trusty 38s because those are fast. It also reduces the cost of I thought that one of the Derringers was fast, but maybe not. Knuckle Dusters.
And
Oh, it's the Switchblade is what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
So you could like, you could play free Switchblades with that.
Yeah.
That was my Switchblade animation. Pretty cool.
It's a pretty nice card.
Yeah. And I think out of all of the classes, 3 isn't crazy for a rogue to get.
They usually have tons of money.
Mm-hmm. The next one we got is another cool one. This one's called Arcane Research. It's a 0 cost, no experience asset. It's a talent and it's permanent. It says when you purchase Arcane Research, suffer 1 mental trauma. After each scenario of a campaign, reduce the experience of the first spell you upgrade before the next scenario by 1. So pretty simple, but it has a lot of implications. So you do have to take the mental trauma again, what is it? What is the other card we just read? Shrewd Analysis. It doesn't cost you any experience. You can have it in straight from the beginning for 1 mental trauma on this card instead of free. But
yeah, and I like this card because it reduces experience cost.
Mm-hmm.
We're bad at this game. We're bad at getting experience.
Yes.
And so
that's a fact.
There are a few spells you can get for free if you have 2 of these.
Yep. If you're dangerous enough to put 2.
Yeah. And you can just be like, oh, I'm a crazy wizard, and you can just go like.
But really, the only one you need to worry about
full
putting
spellcasting.
Yeah, putting 2 on is maybe like Agnes, just because then you won't get as many triggers from her cool ability.
Yeah,
but that's I don't know,
But then you have so many spells though.
Yeah, and so I'm just saying that out of all of them want this, but out of Agnes, you might want to do 1 instead of 2, because most of them can all handle 2. Because they'll be at 7 starting sanity instead of 9.
Yeah.
Which is sucks, but I mean 7's what everyone else runs with all the time.
Yeah. And 7 is still a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're used to playing with 5s or 6s or whatever.
And one thing to keep in mind though, that this doesn't work on putting a non-spell to a spell. It only works in reducing the first spell you upgrade. So from Shriveling to Shriveling 2, not from your Lantern to Storm Spirits or something like that, right? That doesn't work. Or you can't put you can't use this to reduce the cost of Song of the Dead to 1, because Song of the Dead doesn't have a regular version, so you can't upgrade it. But I think this is amazing. This is so great for something where let's say the shriveling from 1 to 0 or 1 to 5 is the shriveling where you want to get to, right? So if you have 2 of them, you can get the upgraded shriveling for 3. That's really cool because it gives you +3 attack and +2 damage on shriveling, which means you're doing 3 damage base shrivel, and that's really good. So I'm a fan of that card. And plus it's sweet. It's another sweet one of those. And that's why I think the cycle might be starting of 0 experience asset permanents that you can start the game with that do something cool for your upgrade, for your experience cost.
Yeah, that would be pretty sweet if every class got one.
Cool. Hey, Fantasy Flight, that'd be really cool. I know you probably have already done it, but it's really cool. All right, so the next one we got is a little old card called Counterspell. It's a 2 cost, 2 experience event with a brain and a book. It is a spell, and it's blessed as another blessed card.
Oh,
sweet. Even though it's already in a faction that he can already have, it's still blessed. It says fast, and it says play when you draw on one of the symbols out of the chaos bag. That's a bad symbol. It is revealed, or play when it's revealed at a test of your location, and you just cancel the token, and you don't reveal a new token. So the fact that you don't reveal a new token puts this card on another level than redrawing tokens and things like that, right? Draw 3 tokens and pick 1. That means you still have to take a token, so you have the potential of drawing 3 bad ones and then taking a bad one still. But if you knew that you were going to pass on a test with not drawing a token,
yeah, then you would just immediately pass. You don't add any modifiers to it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then this helps with other players too. So if you're with another player and they draw one of these horrible tokens, I believe. Let me reread this. I know we've
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We're bad. It doesn't matter.
But yeah, so you can just help other players out too. If they draw a horrible token,
mm-hmm.
you can just stop them from making a terrible mistake as well.
This one's a lot like I can't remember the name of the survivor card, but there's a survivor card that's like, don't draw tokens for any test you do this turn. And that's kind of cool, because if you knew you're going to win, you're going to win. If you attack 3 times and you know you can beat their fight value, you shoot them 3 times, and that's that.
Yeah.
So, pretty sweet.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this card, and it's pretty cheap, too. Cheap cost-wise and experience-wise.
Yeah, because I mean, if you hold on like 1 or 2 for ward, you can hold on to like 1 or 2 for this card too. You just probably not playing both of them the same turn, right?
Yeah.
So, all right, our first survivor card is called. It doesn't have an in the title. I'm sorry. It's called Perseverance. It's a 2-cost event. It's got 2 brains on it, and it's a spirit card. So Calvin can have this, but he already can because it's a survivor card. Fast, play when you are assigned damage and or horror that would defeat you. Cancel up to 4 of that damage and or horror. So, this is cool. I mean, I think this is sweet for Calvin because he's so close to the edge anyway all the time.
Yeah, I was actually looking at this morning for a Calvin deck, and I think this is like probably one of the cards that should be in a Calvin deck because he's going to get horror and he's going to get hit. So he's going to be like near death a lot. And
I think this is probably good for York too, since York's a fighty kind of survivor tank. This is great. And any kind of I don't know, any kind of player that can, or any kind of investigator that's going to be like fighting or just wanting to take damage, this is a good way to just be like, sorry, I'm not going to die today. Like,
yeah.
And not having to kill yourself like, I'll see you in hell or something like that, right?
Well, it's good for any Dunwich investigator can take this, right? Because it's free, so...
Yeah, that's true. Anyone that can have any Dunwich investigator can have it. That's actually a good point. So their survivability shoots up a little bit there.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. I didn't think about that. That's actually a good idea. Because I was just thinking about the crossovers, but yeah, that's kind of cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for the 0 XP cards. All right, our last one is called Stunning Blow. It's a skill. It's got a fist icon and it's practiced. And it says if this. Sorry, I just read the flavor text and started laughing. It says, if the skill test is successful during an attack, automatically evade the attacked enemy. And it just says thud. And so that kind of horrible snake creature is like, yowza. I probably shouldn't have left that wrench lying around or that pipe lying around. But this card's kind of interesting. So I like that you can use this card to set up a turn where like somebody can't kill something, but you have sneak attack in your hand. And you're like, oh, just let me commit this to that. And then now I can sneak attack him as my first action. And you've now collectively done like maybe, let's say they did 1 damage for each of their attacks. You've done 5 damage to this creature, right?
Yeah.
That's sweet. And that was the setup. That's something that's not very uncommon. Like, it's not hard to do that because that's kind of what you're trying to do anyway.
Yeah, I think this is a really team player heavy card. It's like the ultimate help you out card. Like, it's like, oh man, I just need an extra fist, and you're like, oh, I have a card that has an extra fist, here you go. And then it also
to evade.
Oh, and then you'll also evade it. And it's like, oh, I didn't need that, but hey, now you can just beat the crap out of this enemy who's down now.
Because it'll trigger marksmanship. Like, marksmanship can work now better. The Springfield can, Finn's guns can. Any card that requires an enemy to be exhausted, what is it? The one where you can get clues for an enemy if you do a book test against its fight value when it's not engaged with you. I can't remember what it's called. Eavesdrop.
Yeah, you can eavesdrop
stuff like
them.
that all becomes more functional.
Yeah,
and, I don't know.
And you can see the crime. You can see the crime them easier. I mean, it takes care of retaliates.
Yeah, they don't retaliate when they're... Well, as far as we play, and maybe not be right, an enemy can't retaliate when it's exhausted. But if that's not true, please let us know, because then we need to go back and play some different campaigns. Some campaigns again. But, I don't know. I like this. I like the skill-based effects of a lot of the Survivor cards. There's the one I just looked at yesterday, which was... The one where, if you commit it to an evasion test and you succeed, you disengage and move to a different location. In addition to the evasion, it's Survival Instincts, I think it's called. There's a lot of cool Survivor cards that do a lot of extra stuff when you succeed, and I'm a fan of them. So, yeah. All right, well, that's it for this pack, Threads of Fate. So stay tuned for more from us. We just started playing through Carcosa a few times, and we're going to do another cycle review. We're going to start a new segment here soon, or try to do some more stuff that aren't just pack reviews and cycle reviews. But if you have any suggestions for content that you'd like to see, or if you have any problems you have with us saying rules wrong or saying Protector Guardian Knight Paladin wrong or Protector wrong, please let us know in the comments, and like, comment, subscribe, and keep an ear out for Arkham Knights is coming up soon. So Arkham Knights is happening in October, and if you're going to Gen Con, let us know how that special Gen Con scenario is going to be. I think there's another Invocation event happening as well, so keep an ear out for that, because a lot of local shops will have that going on.
Yeah.
See you later.
See you next time, Investigator.